What's up, everyone? It's Tom from To The Moon Cards and Collectibles, and today I want to talk about your Vibes TCG cards. Vibes is the hottest new TCG game out of Web3 using the Pudgy Penguins IP. And what I want to go over specifically in this video is all about grading your Vibes cards. I'm obviously a big fan of grading cards, as you can see behind me. How do you decide what cards to send? What are the different grades? What are the factors that they grade on? Let's get into all of the information, including which company to submit to. Now, I've recently just opened a personal Vibes booster box, and I have all these cards, but which ones are worth grading? So when it comes to a TCG, there are really two types of categories: playable and gradable. Now, your playable cards, I would not grade. However, the other side of that, which is what we're discussing today, is the collectible side. Every pack of Vibes has a foil card. Now, a foil card is purely collectible because it is a same exact version of the base card, but in shiny holographic form. Here's an example of what I mean. This is a base unmasked penguin card. This is the foil version of that card, and as you can see, it's got a holographic shimmer on it. When it comes to gameplay, these two cards do the exact same thing. The only difference is that the foil version is more rare than the base. There is only one foil per pack. So to me, if you're going to grade something, you would grade the foil version. So aside from foils, there are different rarities to the card. There's commons, uncommons, rares, epics, and then the sketch card, which is the big chase. To me, all sketch cards should be graded. There's only 2,000 of them in a circulation of over 4 million cards. One recently selling for $5,000, and that's raw, ungraded. So if that grades well, it'll be worth even more. So of those rarities, sketches are going to be the most rare. The second most are epics. Now, epic foils, I think, also should all be graded. Now, when it comes to epic non-foils, that's where you have a decision to make. If it's a great game-playing card, I don't think you should grade it. However, some exceptions to that are some cards are worth more than others. For example, in this set, it seems that the card called Luca Saves the Penguins has emerged as the most valuable epic card. There's also things like sets. Some people might want a saucy foil set. All of this comes down to personal preference. Now, I held up this card and you might see the Post-it note sitting up top. Let's get into why I did that and packing to submit your cards for submission. Say you just pulled this red saucy card. It is a rare and it is a foil. First thing you want to do is put it in what's called a penny sleeve. That is a soft, flexible sleeve to protect the surface of the card. The next thing you want to do is put it into some sort of more rigid plastic sleeve like this. This is called a top loader. There's also ones called card savers. These are a little bit larger and semi-rigid. This is my preferred method of submitting cards. Before I put it into that card saver, I'm going to put a Post-it note attached to the penny sleeve on the back of the card and then put it into my card saver. Now, why the Post-it? It's a completely optional step, but really it's for when the grader receives the card. All they have to do is pull the Post-it and the card comes out with it. So it's really just an optional step to make it a little bit easier for the grader to get the card out of the sleeve. Once you have all your cards properly protected, what you want to do is get them ready for shipment. What I recommend before shipping is getting yourself some of these shipping protectors from companies like Hobby Armor. They come in two different sizes. This one is good for top loaders. This one is good for card savers. I'm using card savers. Let's use the bigger size. If you don't buy Hobby Armor, what you can do is also cut up old cardboard boxes and use those instead. Take one piece, put the card in, take the other one, put it there, you tape around each side. Once it's properly protected, slide it into a bubble mailer and you ship it off. If you have more cards and it's a little bit bulkier than this, I highly recommend a box to ship in. So one of the biggest questions I get asked around grading is what company to use. Now, there are several companies that you can use. I'm going to go through the steps of submitting to two different companies, PSA and CGC. Now, both companies have a similar process. Both you need a membership, but there are free membership versions. There are slight differences between the two, but let's get into the differences and how to submit. If you choose to submit with CGC, what you want to do is go to cgccards.com. I highly recommend playing around with the website, but since we're just sticking to submission, the first thing you want to do is go to submit and then submission form. Scroll down, click online form. start new order. And now this is where you're going to decide what kind of card you want to submit. So you have a few different options. We are submitting cards today. Signature series is if a card is autographed in front of a CGC representative as a witness. We're not doing that, so we're going to go to grading. We are mailing it in. If you're local to their offices in Florida, you can drop it off. But if you're at a convention, or what we're doing today is we're going to mail it. We're looking for authentication and grading. Here is a streamlined process, but let's go through the steps. Agree to the consent form. And then here are the different tiers. Now, it's going to be similar at all companies. First is bulk. You need a minimum amount of cards. For CGC, it's 25, and every card can't be worth more than $500. That's not collectively. There's no individual card worth over 500. For economy, there is no minimum, and the value of a card is up to $1,000. Now, I mentioned earlier that you don't need a paid membership in order to submit with CGC. That is true. However, with the prices you're seeing right here is with a dealer membership. There are paid memberships that you get significant discounts and might be worth it if you plan on submitting a lot of cards. Another thing that changes between tiers is turnaround times. How long it takes for a card to get back to you. They will keep an updated turnaround time on the website. Bulk right now is roughly around 45 working days. Economy is usually about 10 to 15 days shorter than that. Standard is about 10 to 15 days shorter than that. And Express is usually around 5 working days total. For the purpose of this video, we are going to do economy, which is what I use the most. We are not doing authentication of an autograph through JSA, so we are skipping this and going to add card. Once you're on this screen, you're going to put in the card that you want to get submitted into this search bar. Now, a lot of these cards are preloaded in there. So if we are going to submit this unmasked penguin foil card, we start typing it. And if it's in there, it'll show up. As you can see, 3 options pop up. There is the foil version, the non-foil version, and then the sketch version. We are submitting the foil version. So we're going to select this first option here. You put in the quantity. And then you put a rough estimated value. This is for insurance purposes in case something gets lost in the mail or there's any damage to the cards. You can use recent eBay sales as a comparative. So let's just say it's about $25. And it gets added to your cart. Once you load all of your cards into the cart, you hit review. And then it's going to take you through the steps, and it's pretty self-explanatory in the checkout process. You're going to put in your return address. They're going to send you a packing slip that you're going to put a copy of the packing slip into the box so that when they open it up, they know what cards should be in that box. So that's how you submit with CGC. It's a pretty straightforward process. Don't get intimidated. It's really not that difficult and does not take that much time. Now let's go through the process of submitting a card through PSA. So when submitting to PSA, the first thing you want to do is go to psacard.com. So right here on the main screen, which the first thing you're going to do is click Start Submission. Here are the different tiers of submission. As you'll see, it starts with bulk. However, there are 2 asterisks. For PSA, you don't need a paid membership. However, if you do want to get either TCG bulk or value bulk, you do need to have a paid subscription for what they call the Collectors Club. And if you scroll down, you could join right here. Here are the prices to join the Collectors Club membership. If you don't have Collectors Club membership, no problem. You're going to start at value. And similar to any company, the turnaround times are going to be based on the tier that you select. So the value has about a 45 business day. The value plus is 20. The value max is 15, and so on. To start your submission, hit Start. Hit New Submission. And we're going to do Assisted Submission. This is where you're going to find the card. If we want to grade this foil unmasked penguin card, we start to search it. It's preloaded, so it will show up. Here are the 3 versions of this card, the non-foil, the foil, and the sketch. We are submitting a foil, so we would click this option. If this card has been graded previously, there will be a picture here. Since it has not, there is no picture. Hit confirm. And that's it. So it is now added to your list of cards that you want to submit. Then you would hit continue to review and go through the checkout process that is pretty self-explanatory as well. When it comes to grading, it's really a personal preference. There are some things that are different. CGC has what's called a pristine 10, which is a virtually perfect card. For PSA, their highest grade is a gem mint 10. There are 4 categories that they grade cards on. It's edges, corners, surface, and centering. You may choose one company over another for aesthetic reasons or resale value reasons. I recommend checking out eBay recent sold to see if there is a difference in the sale price from the 2 different grading companies. For comparison of aesthetics, here is the same card graded at both companies. You choose which one you like more. Values between grades make a big difference in resale value. A 10 is going to be your highest valued card, but the drop off from a 10 to a 9 is significant. If your card grades an 8, it's worth roughly the same amount as if it was raw. So you're really hoping for a 9 at minimum and a 10 ideally. Thank you for watching this. I hope it was helpful. Again, I'm Tom at To The Moon Cards and Collectibles, and any company that you choose, I highly recommend enjoying the hobby and getting cards graded. It is a lot of fun, and it's exciting to see what grade you get. Good luck submitting.